President Trump has arrived in Hawaii on his way to Asia for a 12-day trip with the dark cloud of Russia's election meddling hanging over him. I want to bring in now two men who have the ear of America. John Fredericks, syndicated talk radio host, who is the former co-chair of the Trump campaign in Virginia, and Joe Madison, a host on Sirius XM. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Joe, yes. This has been a whirlwind week for President Trump. The Trump administration, two former campaign aides have been indicted. Another pled guilty to lying to the FBI, and emails reveal that aide repeatedly tried to set up meetings with Vladimir Putin. Overall, would you say this is a good week or a bad week for the president?
Oh, it's been a bad week. I initially were prepared to say it was mixed because, again, he's going to take credit for the job numbers. But before John gets started, let's be honest. He inherited great job numbers that were given to him by President Barack Obama, much better situation than Barack Obama got. So good week there, and if I were in the Trump camp, I'd be bragging about that. So we can put that aside. But let me tell you, when you get three people on your campaign, and please, John, do not say that the one young man was nothing more than a coffee boy. Coffee boys do not sit in high-level meetings over at least 2 or 3 times. The reality is any administration in their right mind would know that this is serious and more is to come. The other thing that I think, and I'll conclude by saying, this tax proposal that he is presenting to try to sell to the American people that $1,100, oh, gee, just think how much that's going to get you. Well, let's see, that's $3.20 a day. Now, you tell me what most people can do with $3.20 a day, and that's on average. So, and all in all, maybe it's a good thing he's leaving the country.
John, a new Washington Post ABC poll shows nearly half of Americans believe President Trump likely committed a crime in connection with Russia's election meddling. The president has been trying to deflect and distract attention, but is he failing to convince Americans there's there's nothing there?
Well, maybe they're watching CNN as you guys blast him 24/7, and that's skewing some of the poll numbers. Let me just start with Joe's $1,100, and I'll get to your question. Joe, that is so elitist and so New York, and so I'm making $400,000, and so what does $1,000 mean to a family of 4? Joe,
Joe's in Virginia, by the way.
Working
lives
people.
In Virginia, I think, right?
We have so do I. Joe, we have so many working people, whether it's Virginia or anywhere, that $100 a month, when you're making $60,000 with a family of 4, these are working people. That $100 a month, Joe, is a car payment. It's football practice. It's baseball shoes. It's taking your family to
John, it's all of the above, and sometimes they both come at the same time. And then these wealthy people get it, and then these wealthy people, excuse me, you know what the elitist,
you want to take the elitist view, like $1,100 doesn't matter to average working people,
what is elitist
Joe?
Is when you give billionaires $400,000, $500,000. That's the elitist in the group. You're right. It is a payment car. It is a cell phone car. And guess what? Sometimes they all show up at 1 month.
Joe, the tax plan of Donald Trump has nothing to do with tax breaks for millionaires. Actually, taxes for people that make over $1 million are going up pretty significantly. And they have that new rate in there that takes this into account. This is a tax cut for middle-class working Americans, which is the Trump revolution that, Joe, you just refuse to understand.
John,
it's
please stop. John, please stop. The question was, a new Washington Post ABC poll shows nearly half of Americans believe President Trump likely committed a crime in connection with the Russia's election meddling. The president has been trying to deflect and distract attention, but I'm wondering if he's failing to convince Americans there is nothing there. That's the question.
The same polls that predicted that Hillary Clinton would win in a landslide are now saying this. It's all nonsense, fake news, fake polls. There is Don and Joe. I know you're going to be really disappointed. There is nothing there.
I'm not disappointed. I'm just asking you the question. You're answering it.
I'm answering it. Paul Manafort and Rick Gates are bad guys. They're bad guys. The biggest mistake that Donald Trump made had nothing to do with Russian collusion or breaking the law. It was hiring Paul Manafort.
And
This was
Papadopoulos?
a disastrous decision. Papadopoulos is a volunteer. Let me tell you about Papadopoulos. He came into
And Flynn?
one meeting. Nobody ever saw him. You asked me about Papadopoulos. Nobody ever saw him in Trump Tower. He started
Well,
with
I'm
the
just,
Ben
I would just
Carson
go
campaign.
through the list of people
He was
who
with
have
the
been
Ben
fired or
Carson
let
campaign,
go
Don.
or have
You
had
gotta get your
some
facts straight.
connections to Russia. Okay.
You ask me a question, I never get a chance to answer it. He
Well,
was with
because
the
guess
Ben
what?
Carson campaign.
We're out of time
They
because you
dropped
go
out.
on and you
Barry
filibuster.
Bennett came in.
John, let me tell you this. I
And
have,
Barry brought him in
John,
as a
let me tell you
volunteer.
this.
He's a
I have
volunteer.
time constraints on this show. You go on and you filibuster. I ask you a question and you don't answer. You answer something else,
Because
and
you
then
don't
you
want the
complain.
answer, Don.
No, because
You
you
just
don't
want your
answer. You
narrative.
don't.
I'm trying to
you
tell you
don't
the truth.
answer.
I just
John,
gave you
please
the
let me
answer.
talk. Can you please let me talk? You don't answer a direct question. If I ask you a question, if I say, "Hey, John, what color is the sky?" You go, "Well, the sky. That's not important. Let's talk about the tax cuts." I didn't ask you a question about tax cuts. I asked you about a poll. Had you answered the poll question directly, we would have plenty of time for you to finish your answer. But you didn't do that. And now I have to go to the break because I have to get to another segment. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. When we come back, breaking news tonight on the Russia investigation. CNN's Jim Sciutto just spoke with Carter Page, and he has new information about his meetings with a high-level Russian official.